Good day everyone, how are you all doing? This is Yix here at Magnet Crypto, back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing an update on DOS Network and Akash Network to see what's happening with those and to have a look at the price data and do a little analysis. But before we get to that, let's first have a look at Bitcoin and the big boys, see what's happening over on that side. So without further ado, let's get straight to that. So if you look at Bitcoin on a 4-hourly time frame, as mentioned in the previous video, we've broken below this important support level on the 4-hourly and have since retested it. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens next, because this is a classic retest and we may end up maybe going slightly above it and then crashing down to the next support level to test that again. It does feel like the momentum is moving slowly towards a short-term bearish. Obviously long-term we are super bullish, but for the moment it looks like we may be, as you can see, this rounding top, we may be breaking that support to test that 16,400 level again, and potentially lower. That's how it looks like to me. As mentioned, you can all see that rounding effect. For me to become bullish in the short term again, I'm leaning slightly towards bearish. I'm not 100% bearish short term just yet, but to break this rounding pattern, I think that's when we'll start to have a run up again. But for the moment, on the 4-hourly especially, this is not the daily or the weekly just yet, it's looking a little bit more bearish. So you can see here 1, 2, that's 2 tests, and obviously the third test of this support level. So if we start to go lower towards this support level of 17.6, it's more likely that we're going to break through that. So looking at the total market cap for the altcoins, we finally have a red candle, and that's this week. We haven't finished yet for this week, and it looks like potentially we could use this $192 billion as support. So if that's the case, that's very bullish, then we can use that as support. As you can see here, support previously, or we could even wick down to get some more liquidity to push on forward. However, if this doesn't hold, then we may obviously go down to the next level, which are around $170 billion. So that's what I'll be looking at. Hopefully we can see this as support and bounce upwards from that point. A quick look at XRP, as mentioned, it's using that 57 cent as support over here. You can see clearly here, and the wick stat have touched that level. If we break below that, then I think we'll be going down to the next major area of support, which is around 34 cents, 31 cents, potentially a little bit higher. You can see, this zone over here is very crucial. So that will be the next level of support for XRP if this doesn't hold. Similar with Ethereum. However, now if we close at this level, we would have closed below this support level over here, and potentially we may start to go further down to around $488 if we close at this level for this week. That's how it looks potentially. So we'll have to see how it closes for this week, but at the moment it's below that support level of 568, 570, and the next level is around 486, 88. So those are the big boys. I'm not going to go into some of the other altcoins. So it looks like the momentum is moving a bit to the bearish side for the moment. And again, that's short term. Long term obviously was super bullish. And again, as mentioned yesterday, this is the time to, buy the dip. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. You got to buy the dip. As you want, you're not going to get too many of these chances going forward. The closer we get to the almighty bull run. So be smart, be strategic, take a little bit of profit when you can to enjoy yourself, but this is time to add to your position, not to sell. So let's get into DOS Network. So as you all know, or if you didn't know, DOS Network is essentially a chain link, a band protocol competitor, but a much smaller project. It's a decentralized Oracle service network to boost blockchain usability with real world data and computation power. If you want to see a recap on what the project's all about, I made a video on it. So if you want to go ahead and watch that, that'll be in the link somewhere in the top right corner. So the thing that I want to mention in regards to DOS Network, which is mentioned on their Twitter, is the fact that they continue to reach their DOS 2.0 milestones, and they've announced the completion of their token bridge, which is now available. So obviously every time a project reaches a milestone or gets to their 2.0 or the mainnet and things of that nature, the project progresses, and that comes with it that added attention, the attention that it garners, more people coming into the space, more people finding out about it. They improve as a project and thus become a better competitor to Chainlink and Band Protocol. So this obviously will help it to level up essentially. So this is quite big to see. What was big in the sense that obviously it's progress. Progress is always important. And DOS Network doesn't like to tweet too much. It normally only tweets when they've actually done something. So this is very encouraging to see that they are developing at a good pace. So within no time, they'll be up there with a strong competition with the likes of Chainlink and Band Protocol. And obviously their market cap is a lot larger than DOS Network. So you can imagine the gains that will be in store for the project. Let's move over to Akash Network. So the other thing that I want to mention was in regards to Akash Network, and that is a massive update posted on the Twitter of the CEO. And he mentioned that since they've deployed the testnet, 2,438 app deployments, 379 developers, 100 active validators, and 36 unique apps in the catalog. And if this is the testnet, you can imagine what mainnet 2 will be like. Absolutely huge update. The amount of people it's attracting to the project to work on it is amazing. A very, very bullish sign to me, a massive indication that this project is going to go very far. Another thing in regards to the app deployment is the fact that this was able to be deployed a ThorChain BEP swap UI. As he said, can it get more decentralized than that? So you could essentially deploy anything on this network, which again, back to the update, the fact that people are deploying things on the network is a huge indication. I feel like I'm repeating myself too much, but it needs to be repeated. And again, when projects haven't even reached mainnet yet, that's a huge amount of value that is yet to be realized. So again, look at it for yourself and see the potential there. So now let's have a little look at some of the technicals when it comes to Akash Network. So I'm looking at this from Bitmax, and there's not a lot of TA to be done, so you can literally just look at the candlesticks. But obviously we've had a very good rally so far, and a strong month of November, when we had that massive increase from 55 all the way to 86 cents. But since that point, we've now made a major high, swing high, and we are starting to bottom out. However, what is important to note is that we haven't bottomed out yet. Once we see the green candle in the opposite direction, then we can confirm this bottom. So there is potential for us to go lower, potentially even to 60 cent, where this wick over here stops. So until we actually see, price action in the opposite direction, there's potential for us to keep going lower to around 57 cents, around this area. Especially when you look at this rejection, we've made a little bottom on the daily, but since then we are now retesting that bottom. So that means there's potential for us to go lower if this doesn't hold. Overall, in the long term perspective, it doesn't really matter if it goes lower to 56 cents. Again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal, because we're looking at it from 12 months plus perspective, and this is definitely going to be still when you look at it from that time frame. So there's no point kind of looking at this and getting too worried. What I'm doing is dollar cost averaging, so just adding small positions as time goes on, because you're not going to find more opportunities to get this token at these price levels. But something I'll mention again later on is that the way I look at this is, obviously there's no guarantees when it comes to investing. So this project could very well go down into oblivion. So when it comes to that, you need to obviously be aware of that and make sure not to put a huge amount of capital in. These are the kind of projects that you put smaller bets in, and as time goes on, it starts to prove itself more. You can add more positions and add more positions. But you got to think of it like a venture capitalist, in the sense that you put small bets in different projects, and not expecting all of them to explode to the upside, but one or two are going to do very well. But it's about spreading and diversifying your capital, so it's not all in one basket. So that's how I think about when it comes to these smaller projects. Let's now move on and have a look at DOS Network's price data. Unfortunately, the major liquidity, the majority of the liquidity is on BitMax, and it doesn't show you that exchange on TradingView. But again, the way I look at this is, it's a good network, but you got to put small positions into these networks because there's more risk involved. So if we look at DOS Network, we can see that obviously we had a massive candle early in October, and we formed a new high of around 10 cents, 10.2 cents. And we seem to be creating lower highs as time goes on, but it's like a flagging formation that it seems to be forming. So what I'm looking for with that is, firstly, to make sure we don't close below 8 cents, and secondly is to break this structure, this high of 10 cents, and then to retest that as support. But there is a fair amount of sell side pressure over here, but that seems to be dwindling, so there seems to be on the downside. So once we can get rid of all that sell side pressure, I think that we could clear that to the upside. But I think probably it'll be when DOS 2.0 comes out, that's when we'll be able to really rocket to the upside. So that's what I'm seeing with DOS Network. Again, the main thing is to make sure that we do not close below 8 cents. If we do, then obviously we'll be going down to where this is wicked, which is around 6 cents and a half. So that's what I'm seeing so far with DOS Network. But again, the way I look at these smaller projects is smaller bets. Obviously there's a lot more risk involved. Not all of them are going to rocket, but if they do, which these two projects look like they have good potential, there's a lot of gains to be made. But again, you got to manage the risk and not put a huge bet on these projects. Think of it like a venture capitalist. With that said, I will leave you with that. Hope you got some value from that, and see you in the next video. Peace.